Tonight, Toronto City Council votes to make masks mandatory in public indoor spaces.
It's outside of our comfort zone, but it's the right thing to do.
It comes after the province ruled out a province-wide mandate. Plus,
symbols matter, and symbols themselves can be violent and terrifying.
A virtual meeting to denounce recent racist acts, including the discovery of nooses at construction sites. And tomorrow is Canada Day. Most official events are canceled or forced to go virtual this year. We'll have details on how you can spend the big day. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. By the middle of next week, you'll need a mask in order to venture into any indoor space in the City of Toronto. Councillors voting today to make the wearing of masks indoors mandatory, a move that will soon be copied by several other GTA cities. Health officials say it may be necessary to stave off a possible second wave of COVID-19. Ali Chasson has more.
The way these mayors see it, masks are the key to stage 3.
I feel very strongly that we can't waste any time, that we need to move quickly.
Businesses will have the right to refuse customers if they do not wear a mask. Period. Full stop.
Do the right thing.
Each city has the support of their medical officers of health as they vote on motions to mandate masks, which passed in Toronto today.
All in favor? Carried.
This creates a temporary bylaw, making non-medical masks and face coverings mandatory at indoor public spaces to help limit the spread of COVID-19. That includes transit, malls, and stores.
It's a really good idea. I'm all for it.
Yes, I will feel more safe if everybody protects themselves with the mask all the time.
Once enacted, you'll have to bring your own mask. Businesses are not obligated to give you one.
I think it's actually a pretty good idea. If I have a mask on me and I'm going to a store, then yeah, I'll throw it on.
Not every city in the GTHA is adopting this yet. Cities in Durham and Halton regions are still mulling it over. Premier Doug Ford was all for the regional approach.
But Toronto Peel is different than Kenora Rainy River. It's, apples and oranges.
I think it's a bit of a waste of time right now. It's too little too late. It should have been done back in March, in April, and May.
Do you think it's going to be difficult to enforce, though?
I think it will be difficult initially, with some people being an act of resistance.
As COVID-19 infection rates trend downward, compliance may be clunky at first, but compliance is what these cities are counting on.
We don't have the resources to be able to go around and look in every store or look at every person that's in one of those places. We're going to rely on people by and large to get educated. We will help with that.
Masks in indoor public spaces will be mandatory starting July 7th in Toronto. Peel Region will vote on whether to follow suit next week. Ali Chasson, CBC News, Toronto.
The Special Investigations Unit has been called in after police shot and injured a man suspected of a robbery in Brampton tonight. It happened just around 8 o'clock near Torbram and Williams Parkway. Police say officers were investigating robbery suspects during a traffic stop when shots were fired. The man was taken to hospital. He is expected to survive. 2 other suspects are in custody. Parents and students at the University of Toronto's Dr. Eric Jackman Institute of Child Study are speaking out tonight about what they call a racist attack at their school. Someone vandalized posters they put up featuring anti-black racism slogans. Our Chris Glover has that story.
These grade 6 students thought their posters calling out anti-black racism would be met with love.
It's just sad how people don't recognize that Black Lives Matter.
Instead of love, Ella Irons McDonald says their class project was met with hate.
It's like surprising. I'm in like this very nice little bubble, and like the rest of the world, there are all these problems, and yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like maybe your bubble was burst a little bit when this happened?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, yeah.
Little kids go here. I mean, just look at this.
Saturday morning, parents of the U of T affiliated private school found the signs covered up with black spray paint, so they flipped them around to hide the attack. But Sunday morning, the other sides were destroyed with white paint.
our defense of this movement was defaced like that. And there's no place for that in this community.
There's some people in the world that disagree with what we're believing in. People can have their opinions, but they don't have to sort of put them in action.
I wasn't surprised. When I saw the signs, I was hurt by it.
Marsha Bunbury is one of the teachers at the school. She's hurt by what happened, but overjoyed the students are smarter.
They are aware of what's happening around them, and so having the kids involved and their voices part of it, it warmed my heart, and I thought, yes, they are doing this.
There is hate, right? When you see black paint and then white paint being, scribbled over posters that were made by grade 6 students, you ask yourself, what kind of person can do this, right?
This parent on the Parent-Teacher Association is a law professor at Osgoode Hall. He wants police asking whether this was a crime motivated by hate.
Now is the time to show us that they care, seize that discretion, and investigate.
Mine was sort of like this one.
Even though Irons McDonald's sign is destroyed, she's proud to show off today's lesson, that many voices coming together in love can outweigh hate.
It's uplifting, I guess, yeah.
You can still see the white paint on the grass and the boulevard right in front of the school, and the University of Toronto campus police say as soon as they became aware of this incident over the weekend, they escalated things to Toronto police for investigation. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
Several recent cases of nooses found at Toronto construction sites sparked a meeting of community groups, politicians, and concerned residents tonight. Came together for a public forum called Fighting Hate in the East End. The discussion showed support for the city's black community and denounced racist acts. One of the speakers says finding a noose on the construction site he worked at wasn't the first time he experienced racism on the job.
It's affected me quite a bit. It's a very demoralizing and demeaning thing.
The president of construction company Ellis Dawn committed to listening and putting in more resources to educate its employees. Toronto police say their hate crimes unit is investigating the incidents. Meanwhile, community groups are organizing a solidarity stand-in tomorrow afternoon in Regent Park. Police are looking at a probable case of arson after a fire at a tow truck lot in North York early this morning. Firefighters were called to the scene at an industrial park on Champagne Drive just before 5 o'clock. They found about 10 trucks and cars on fire, as well as several gas cans left on the scene. A fire investigator is now looking into it. There have been a number of police investigations related to violence and fires involving tow truck drivers. Just yesterday, the provincial government announced a task force examining ways to reform the industry. Well, tomorrow is Canada Day. It's usually a time to gather with friends and family to celebrate the country, but things are going to be very different this year. Physical distancing guidelines are making it impossible for many Torontonians to celebrate the way we used to. Greg Ross has what a COVID Canada Day looks like.
It's not going to be quite the celebration we usually have on Canada Day.
Maybe a little bit quieter this year.
Big events around the city have been canceled because of the pandemic, and many people have put their own personal plans on hold.
Usually, well, for me, it's a thing that we go camping. It's kind of a friend thing. So this year, we're totally going to skip it.
I just came for the party, though, I'm going to be honest.
In a typical year, people would gather at Nathan Phillips Square for a full day of festivities. Physical distancing guidelines won't allow for that this year, so the city is moving the show online.
What does a virtual Canada Day look like?
Well, I think the simplest way to think about it is a TV show, really. It's kind of like bringing all kinds of cultural performances onto a screen and it's sharing that with the world.
The online show will last all day, but of course, if watching a screen is not your cup of tea, there are some outdoor activities. Social distancing circles were painted on the grounds outside the Liberty Grand today in preparation for a Canada Day food truck festival.
We're going to have 10 food trucks, but they're all allocated so people can have social distancing.
President and CEO Nick DiDonato says while they expect lots of people, safety is still key.
We are able to do social distancing, have trucks with social distancing. Everybody here will be required to bring a mask or have one on site.
The province is also opening up parks for people who want to be outside.
Ontario Parks will be offering free day use at all provincial parks across the province.
The festivities will culminate with a show at the CN Tower that will light up the night sky. It won't exactly be like the fireworks display we saw a few years ago, but there will be a light show, and it will be broadcast on the city's YouTube channel. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, coming up after the break, we'll take a look at your Canada Day forecast with meteorologist Colette Kennedy. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
We promised you a look at the Canada Day weather forecast. Colette Kennedy joins us tonight with a great look at a great week coming up. Colette.
Oh boy, is it ever. I mean, we are swinging into the month of July, to the holiday. I mean, you just wouldn't believe the kind of conditions we're seeing. And so much sunshine and dry conditions. I thought we would just take a look at how we've wrapped up June here in terms of it was a little bit on the dry side, and that's kind of how we're looking as we go into July as well. So the monthly average, if we take a 30-year period to get that average, just over 70 millimeters we would see for June. And where did we end up? Well, below average with just just under 50 millimeters. Our daytime highs today, I'm going to say these are on the cool side compared to where we're going over the next, not just several days, I mean week, maybe even 2 weeks in terms of the trend. 27 degrees today. Tonight we're looking at clear conditions, dry conditions, and for the holiday tomorrow, a few isolated showers could pop up, and I mean pop up, a little downpour, and then they go away. That's kind of the situation into the afternoon hours. Primarily, it is going to be a dry forecast and a sunny one, with a high UV index, so do be aware of that for the holiday as well, but things are looking good. In terms of your temperatures tonight, overnight into southwestern Ontario, we're looking at 17 with some clear skies. For Canada Day tomorrow, 31 degrees into Windsor. It's going to be feeling more like about 35 degrees, however, overnight in the GTA, 19, 20 degrees for your overnight lows. And your highs tomorrow, 29 and 30 degrees, about 5 degrees above seasonal. And then things just continue to heat up. So Thursday, 32, and Friday, we're looking at low 30s, feeling like we are in the mid 30s, and that is just going to be the trend. So this is really going to be something to be watching, is the heat. Mike, that is a look at your weather forecast. Now I want to look at something else.
No.
Oh, yes.
I was thinking a forecast like that, I'm just going to take the rest of the week off. Why not? Yeah.
Well, you're maybe taking the week off from CBC. I mean, you have been here for over 30 years with us, so you have obviously had an impact on so many lives here at the CBC. And we all wish you so well on this next exciting part of your journey. But it's really important. You know, you've had such an impact on so many people. Everyone came forward wanting to say, well, he taught me this, and Mike Wise taught me this, and I've got this story. We cannot share all of that because it's a 30-minute show, and we have to fit some news in.
Yes.
This is just a taste of some of your friends and colleagues from the CBC and what they wanted to share about you, Mike Wise.
Thank you.
Mike Wise taught me.
Mike Wise taught me.
So Mike Wise taught me.
Mike Wise has taught me.
Mike Wise taught me.
Mike Wise taught me.
Mike Wise taught me.
What has Mike Wise taught me? Tons. He was one of the first hosts I ever produced on a newscast. He taught me how to work with a host and, you know, have that collaborative process.
Mike Wise has taught me that every script can be shorter, every show is better if it ends on a lighter note.
Throughout the pandemic, Renee Prue has been dressing up as a panda. Why not? This is 2020.
It's never too late for a cup of coffee, and that there's never an inappropriate time to have a conversation about Star Trek.
One of the many things that Mike Wise has taught me has been that, you know, there is a difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. One is about beating the man, the other is about being the man, apparently.
Mike Wise taught me how to be open to new technologies and curious about different ways of telling stories. He is also one of the best broadcast writers out there, and he is the best teller of dad jokes that I've ever met.
Mike Wise taught me how to write actively, how to make my scripts more simple, which he knows I have a difficult time doing sometimes. Mike also taught me some of the best dad jokes that I've ever heard, the most interesting facts about space, and how to just keep calm and cool no matter what's going on.
Mike Wise taught me you can swear on TV.
Well, tomorrow is the season premiere of Schitt's Creek, the final season for that show. And tomorrow on Q, Tom Power is going to be speaking with a super fan of the show who has organized a convention known as ShitCon. Of course, what do extreme fans of the show call themselves? Shitheads. Can't believe I just got away with saying that on TV.
Mike Wise has helped me to become a better reporter and a better anchor, but he also taught me that if you have a rubber reusable coffee cup and it starts to smell like dish soap, that if you cook it in the oven, that smell goes away.
Mike Wise taught me that cute animal stories are not hard news. I still think he's wrong about that.
Mike Wise taught me how to confidently line up a show.
He taught me how to secretly sneak great puns into my writing, and he taught me how to execute incredible dad jokes. And I'll leave you with one of my favorite dad jokes you've ever told me. What did the 0 say to the 8? Nice belt.
Mike Wise taught me that it's okay to love 80s music. And in particular, the queen of bubblegum pop herself, Ms. Debbie Gibson. I'm gonna miss the only other person in the newsroom who knows all the words to Debbie Gibson's Only in My Dreams.
Mike Wise taught me the importance of a good cup of coffee and why I should move on from this instant stuff and instead get some local roasted whole beans, which now means I need a grinder, a scale, thermometer, something to brew it in, French press, AeroPress, one of these, a different kind of coffee from a different brewer that Mike recommended, and the tools to do it with, amongst many more. But it means that every coffee that I have is just perfect. Thank you, Mike Wise. We'll miss you.
I think it'd probably be better to do a list of things that Mike Wise didn't teach me because, man, that guy, he knows it all. He vetted me, so I learned through that. He trained me, so I certainly learned through that. And he's also just one of those guys in the newsroom that is the most genuine, the kindest, and we're really gonna miss you. Thanks, Mike, and all the best.
Hey, Mike, congratulations on your retirement. I just have one simple request. Before you leave, please just share your skin routine, let us know what it is that you're doing that keeps you looking so young, because I can't even believe that you've been with the CBC for 32 years. I mean, let's be honest, you look like you're 32 years old. So whatever you're doing, it's working. Just share that information, please, if possible. We're all gonna miss you so much. You've been an amazing anchor, an amazing colleague. You're always so generous with your time. You're always so cool under pressure, and we're gonna miss you.
Like 3 decades at CBC, and I think I have worked with you for more of those years than I care to admit at this point. But I wanna say thank you, not just for your editorial leadership in the newsroom, but also for your empathy, for your kindness, and for the corny jokes you always have at the ready. Never forget, Mike, that you will always be a real CBC gem.
CBC gem, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And I know earlier I got a little verklempt earlier today, Mike, when you and I were talking. So I tried to think of something that, I'm actually not going to miss about you. And I'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
Let me just show you. Here's a picture of us working together 6 years ago. Okay. See the height difference there? Doesn't look too bad. And you know why that is? I'm wearing 4-inch heels, and then I'm also standing on the highest risers that we have at CBC, and I'm not a short woman. I'm not gonna miss that teetering around with you, Mike, because you are a tall man.
We had occupational health and safety in measuring and had to put up railings sometimes, but yeah.
I am gonna miss you, and so many of us around here, as you saw, Mike, are going to.
I'm certainly going to miss working with you, Colette, as well. Thank you so much. It's been a joy talking about the weather with you every night as well, and thank you to my colleagues for that wonderful moment. So I guess after the break, it's a moment I've been dreading, one that I never really thought would happen. I'm going to be signing off CBC for the last time before I start a new career in academia. We'll be right back. So guess who snuck in to see me during the commercial break? Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Just got to hold it together for a couple more minutes. This is my last newscast, and I want to offer my thanks at this point. I've had an absolutely unbelievable opportunity. I started at CBC when I was just 17 years old, thanks to a high school teacher. Thank you to Teresa Malatzakol for opening up the door for my career. They say, put your foot in the door. I got my foot, my leg, my arm, everything in here. I stayed here at CBC. Thank you to the wonderful journalists who took me under their wings and showed me the craft. Thank you to the colleagues here who took a chance and put me on air, letting me develop in the largest market in the country. Thank you to my colleagues over the years that I've had the pleasure of working with and learning from, including all those people behind me as well. Thank you. I want to thank you to the late night team. You occasionally see behind me, there's a lot more than there tonight. A great bunch of colleagues, my incredible producer April, director Zeb, Ramna on the assignment desk, all the others, all of us working together through some very difficult moments of social distancing. And of course, thank you to the people who've let me tell your stories over the years. But most of all, thank you to you, the viewers, for welcoming me into your homes as I anchored this newscast, or for the many years beforehand as I worked as a reporter with a team of journalists here at CBC Toronto, trying to let you know what's happening in this city and beyond. I'm closing the door on this chapter of my life, but opening a new book. This fall, you may have gathered, I'm going to be teaching full-time as a full-time professor and program coordinator for a postgraduate journalism program at Humber College. My chance to help repay the debt of gratitude to so many who gave me opportunities as I do my very best to help the next generation of journalists create their own opportunities. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to miss this place. Happy Canada Day tomorrow. Chris Glover will have your next local newscast. Good night.